When does my child start school in the Netherlands and what happens next? To these seemingly simple questions, there are surprisingly no simple answers. Most children start school the day after their 4th birthday, whenever that is throughout the year. From the first school day of the month after their 5th birthday, a child is obliged to go to school. This is called leerplicht in Dutch. This means that for the first year, when your child is 4, you are a bit more flexible in terms of school attendance. You can discuss together with your child's teacher what works best for your child. Is your son a bit tired after a full school day? You could maybe keep him home in the afternoons, or every Wednesday, for example. Do you want to go on an extended vacation? You may take your 4-year-old daughter out of school without any issues. Of course, you should tell her teacher that she won't be coming in on those days. This all changes, however, once your child turns 5. The Dutch school attendance law, the Leerplichtwet, is very strict. Children are only allowed to miss school because of very specific reasons. For example, an important family celebration or emergency, or if you can prove that your job doesn't allow you to take time off during the school vacations. Before you ask permission, make sure you understand the rules very well. Parents risk getting a fine if their children are out of school without permission. You can read more about the subject in my article. There's one exception not many parents are aware of. While your child is still 5 years old, you may keep him or her home for a maximum of 5 hours per week. This is called vrijstelling leerplichtkinderen van 5 jaar. The Ministry of Education has put this exemption in place to prevent young children becoming too overburdened. You should inform the principal of your school that you're making use of this rule, but you don't need to ask for permission. I'm sorry, but you cannot accumulate these hours. If you feel that your 5-year-old needs even more rest, you may ask for permission to keep them home for a maximum of 10 hours per week. You should explain your situation to the principal and make the necessary arrangements. So, your child has turned 4 and will be starting school. A big step. What's going to happen next? Most teachers invite the parents for an intake meeting about 1 month before the start of school. Here they will tell you what your child should bring to school, how the school days are structured and other things you'll need to know. Make sure you are clear about exactly which date they are expecting your child, in order to avoid your child arriving all excited on a teacher training day or while the class is on a school trip. Often schools don't let new children start just before the Christmas and summer vacations, as these periods are just too busy. It is very common that a new child starts school with an orientation period. This means that for 1 or 2 weeks they only go to school in the mornings. Even for children who are used to full-time daycare, the first days of big school can be very overwhelming. They need to get used to their teacher, all their new classmates, the new rules, the structure of the day, the building and many other things. This can be very tiring for your little one. The teacher and parents decide together when your child is ready to go to school full days. So make room in your agenda or arrange someone else to pick up your child around noon. So, once your child is fully adjusted to their new school life, what happens next? Most schools combine groups 1 and 2 in the same class for children aged 4 and 5. This is called the kleuterklas, and the children are called kleuters. During these 2 years, they focus on learning through play, social skills, sharing, waiting their turn, Dutch language acquisition, growth and fine motor skills, independence, structure and gradual preparation for reading, writing and math. They work with themes, go on excursions, and there's a lot of repetition. If they don't understand something the first time, they probably will the second or third time. Each child develops at their own pace. It's all okay. Most schools use January 1st as their cut-off date for the kleuters. This means that children who are born before this date stay less than 2 years in the kleuterklas, while children born after January 1st are kleuter for a bit longer than 2 years. Children born between October and the beginning of January often find themselves in a bit of a grey area. Apart from the date of birth, the teacher also looks at how mature a child is, how socially strong they are, whether they already show interest in reading and writing, and whether they are ready for the more formal learning in Group 3. If a child doesn't speak fluent Dutch yet, this may also play a role in this decision. So they look at every child individually and also talk with the parents about how they view their child's development. In any case, staying longer in the kleuterklas is not seen as repeating a year, and there is no stigma on children who do have to repeat. Sometimes this is needed for a child to mature or to understand the subject matters more thoroughly. This happened to my son, who was born at the beginning of January, and 2.5 years in the kleuterklas was very good for him, especially in terms of self-confidence. Formal reading and writing starts in Group 3, at age 6. Maybe this sounds a bit late to you. A lot of research has shown that it's better not to introduce reading and writing until the child is completely ready for it. Putting too much pressure on reading and writing at a too early stage can lead to frustration, taking away the pleasure in reading, and also a higher school dropout rate at a later stage. Most schools use a method where the Group 3 pupils learn a new letter every 2 days, starting with the most common letters in Dutch. So they can already proudly write some new words very quickly. Before Christmas they have learned all letters, which some schools celebrate by throwing a letter party. And then they have completely caught up with their peers in other countries who have started the process earlier. On my website newtonl.com you can read what their school career looks like after Group 3, or watch my educational videos. If you need personalized support to find a suitable school for your child, feel free to contact me via email at annebet@newtonl.com. I hope your children have an enjoyable and successful time at school.